Okay, hello, pretty people. I am recording this one just in case there is a problem as we had last night, where, yeah, the stream did not sustain itself very well. Let's say. So yeah, the original intention for tonight was to do a piece about the mysterious disappearance of John Cabot. John Cabot, Giovanni Caboto, Zuan Chaboto, the Venetian explorer, or at least presented himself as Venetian in England. There's some interesting potentialities in John Cabot's story, but apparently he disappeared somewhere in his second voyage to the New World, and yeah, that's the piece I intended to do tonight. Unfortunately, because some of the research required me to communicate with other people, and sometimes other people take a while to get back to you. Yeah, I'm putting that one on hold and pulling one of the ones in my pocket out. So this is the Newfoundland Native Society. And before I change screens, I want to do a quick search using the Avast browser and see if we can find any other source besides Wikipedia for the Newfoundland Natives Society. It does not look like we can. Well, I'm sure we'll find something in the exterior references, excuse me, of Wikipedia. So, without further ado, we will simply drop that down, and as we are working solely on a single page at the moment, I will change the OBS sizing of this window so that we have that as large as I can manage to make it. Okay, let me see here. Okay, a little bit bigger, I think. This is easy enough for me to read. But now I have to change the size of it back just a little bit again. And there. Okay. Lock that down. Get my throat cleared. Yeah. Okay. So I do see I have at least two people other than myself watching. So thank you very much. If you are new to chat, do be aware that as I am on Rumble and I support Rumble's efforts to compete with YouTube, I do appreciate Rumble rants and subscriptions. If you would like to help me in a way that doesn't take as big a cut, you can, of course, do one of the supportive things in the ticker, which are, of course, the Ko-Fi payments or not the Star Wars series. I didn't care for that. Or you can also rant or subscribe here on Rumble, or if you'd like to get something physical for your donation, for your support, you can in fact go over to my Redbubble store, which the link of which is coming up there now, and you can pick up a piece of merchandise. And I would like to say thank you again to all those who have purchased pieces in the last little while. It's extremely helpful. So, we'll jump into the Newfoundland Native Society here. So the Newfoundland Native Society refers to a long-defunct patriotic organization in Newfoundland established in 1840 to protect the rights and privileges of Newfoundland-born and other long-time residents in dealings with colonial civil servants, big business owners who were not always residents, and newcomers who considered themselves much higher in the social structure than the locals, even though the vast majority of locals were of the same British Isles ancestry as the new arrivals. In other words, the issue of class division had come to Newfoundland. It still exists in very limited amounts. There's been a lot of course, cross-generational breeding that has kind of defeated that. And, of course, at a certain point, the Newfoundland identity itself the Newfoundland identity asserted itself and basically dissolved many of those barriers. Let's see. So, the Society's official mandate was to advance the careers and interests of native-born and other longtime residents. Newfoundlanders, regardless of gender, ethnic origin, religious affiliation, or social standing, were welcomed as members. This marked the arrival of a new phenomenon, Newfoundland nationalism, which I suppose would be a sort of proto-ethno-nationalism. Native society branches existed in St. John's, Harbour Grace, and Carbonear, as well, it is thought, in other communities. The Native Society was formed by Richard Barnes, and we'll have a quick look at Mr. Barnes in just a moment, in 1840, and elected its first president, Dr. Edward Keeley. Keeley or Kiley, I think. I can never remember for sure. I've had it explained to me because I've met people with that last name. We'll say Keeley. On June 15th, 1840, the cornerstone of the Society's hall, located at Bannerman Park, was laid by civil governor of Newfoundland, Sir John Harvey, on the 24th of May, 1845. The completed hall fell in a windstorm on September 19th, 1846, killing 2 people. Didn't stand up very well. I'm guessing they didn't invest properly in the infrastructure. So we'll go and have a quick look at Mr. Barnes and come back to the society itself. So Richard Barnes, born 15th of March, 1805, died 3rd of September, 1846. Just a moment. Okay. 16 days before the building fell down. Was a native-born businessman from St. John's, Newfoundland. He represented Trinity Bay in the Newfoundland House of Assembly from 1842 to 46. He was the son of William Barnes and Hannah Butler. Barnes was largely self-educated and involved in the family business, which was shipping and carpentry. I really hope he wasn't overseeing the construction of the hall that we just talked about being blown over in a windstorm. In 1840, he was a prominent member of the Native Society. He entered politics during the time of the very dysfunctional representative government. The founding of the Native Society can be considered one of the earliest manifestations of Newfoundland nationalism, and the Society lobbied for responsible government. The difference between representative and responsible is that we would have representatives who would be essentially beholden to England, whereas in a responsible government, it would be the people elected who would respond directly to the people of the province. Barnes married Eunice Alice Morris in 1840, died in St. John's in office at the age of 41. Known for, one of the founders and a member of the House of Assembly. Unfortunately, there is no image of Mr. Barnes. Okay. Let's see. The society had a distinctive, elaborate banner with a red, white, and green being prominent colors. For ease of manufacture, a tricolor flag was adopted. This flag consisted of 3 equal-width vertical panels of red at the hoist, white in the center, and green on the fly, in the proportion of 1 to 2. The flag became known as the native flag. Red and white could be seen as representing the Tudor rose, the floral emblem of England. White was for the white saltire on the Scottish flag, and the white down of the thistle and rare, highly prized white heather, as well as the white fleur-de-lis of France. The predominantly white royal flag of France, and the white center in the French tricolor. Green was for the shamrock of Ireland, while green and white could be seen as depicting the leek of Wales. Thus, the majority European resident groups were represented. Those and all others, especially indigenous people, could be seen as being represented by the pitcher plant in the colors red and green. The pitcher plant had been chosen by Queen Victoria as a national symbol to appear on Newfoundland coins. White could also be seen as depicting ice and snow, as well as peace among the people of various ancestries. Green could also represent the various numerous pine trees and spruce. One of the points I'd like to make here is that this is one of the few instances where I think Queen Victoria fucked up royally. No pun intended. The pitcher plant is not a particularly attractive plant, in my opinion. It is also carnivorous. So I see the point there, but I don't necessarily know that Queen Victoria was aware of that. Other Native Society branches, notably Carbonear and Harbour Grace, adopted the same flag, thus establishing it as the first widely recognized, unique, but unofficial flag of Newfoundland, the island and the section known as Labrador. It was commonly called the native flag. With the introduction of responsible government in 1855, need for the society waned and it ceased functioning in 1866. Yeah, this is what a group that accomplishes its goals should do. I hope you're paying attention, NATO. When their purpose for being no longer exists, they dissolve. Let's see. The NNS had worked for the establishment of responsible government. In 1871, the Roman Catholic Church established a Fishermen's Aid and Benefit Organization, the Newfoundland Fishermen's Star of the Sea Association, which I believe may still be operating. I know the Star of the Sea Hall, when I was younger, was still a venue for various events. Its official banner, the Star of the Sea Association, official banner was a green background with a central white star with a pink cross in it. The green depicted the cold and dangerous North Atlantic Ocean, the great many local pine trees, and possibly the shamrock of Ireland, since the vast majority of Newfoundland Catholics at the time were of Irish ancestry. It is a point that I should make as well, that while a lot of people seem to have the impression that the Newfoundland accent is Irish, it is actually Southwestern English for the most part. There is a degree of variance, but really the Irish population of Newfoundland is generally confined to the Avalon Peninsula, whereas the rest of us are something of a mix between mainly English and overwhelmingly majority English. Some Scots. There is apparently some Basque blood still here in Newfoundland. Some French. Obviously, it was a French territory for a while as well. And I don't believe there's much Welsh off of the Avalon. Though I could be wrong. That's as I understand it. So, the star was for Polaris, the North Star, very important in navigation. Also in the Roman Catholic Church, Mary, the Mother of Jesus, is known as the Star of the Sea, Stella Maris in Latin. Did it mention what the pink was about? No. The cross indicated the association's Christian church affiliation. Here we are. And the color pink was a liturgical color for joyous celebration in Anglican, Methodist, Roman Catholic, Lutheran, and many other Christian denominations. Just as an aside, I know I'm going to be making quite a few of those. I was raised and confirmed Anglican. There are Methodist. I believe there's a Lutheran one as well. Defunct, disused cemeteries in the area. There's actually a Methodist one in the middle of the town that I live in, which is kind of unusual given its very, very prime location on what a Englishman would refer to as a high street. Let's see. Pink was also used non-liturgically to signify joyous celebration. The banner gave rise to what was commonly named the pink, white, and green tricolor flag, which became the unofficial flag of the association. Green at the hoist, white in the center, and pink on the fly. Why, where have I seen that before? It should have been called the green, white, and pink. With the demise of the Native Society, the flag was often mistakenly called the native flag by the public and even newspaper reporters. The green, white, pink tricolor, which started as the unofficial flag of a fishermen's association, has survived and become known as the Newfoundland tricolor flag. It is very distinctive since very few flags show any pink, and even fewer as much as a third of the flag. One notable exception is the flag of the state of Espírito Santo, Holy Spirit, in Brazil, which is also 1/3 pink. Let's have a gander at that, if we can. We'll come back to that in just a moment. I'll finish this paragraph first. The older red, white, green native flag created by the Newfoundland Native Society has been forgotten, even though it served as the first homegrown but unofficial flag of the colony of Newfoundland for many years in the 19th century. It's probably just as well. I suspect that would be extremely confusing, extremely easily confused with an Italian flag. In fact, when I lived in St. John's for several years, I had a couple of European tourists asked me at one point why there were so many apparently sun-bleached or faded Italian flags around town. And I had to explain to them that those were not, in fact, Italian flags. Okay, so I believe that's the end of that. We've come now to references. So we'll come... We'll go to the pink, white, and green next. Okay, that is an extremely ugly flag. Yeah. Trabaja y confía. Work and comfort. I'm not sure. I believe that's Portuguese. Let's find out. Well, it would be Portuguese. Oops. TR, there we go. Trabaja y confia. Portuguese, Brazil. Work and trust. Okay. Confidence, trust. Okay. Makes sense. So, that's the basis, or the basic information that Wikipedia has. And they call it a stub. Excuse me. So here we have, of course, the pink, white, and green. Backwards. Because, why not? So, the pink, white, and green tricolor flag, or PWG, can be seen all over Newfoundland and Labrador. Many people, there is a deluge of clothing and accessories emblazoned with the flag, usually accompanied by the slogan Republic of Newfoundland, which I believe was a brand name originally. It has been asserted in the media and on the internet that it has represented the island for some 200 years. Yet Newfoundland was never a republic, and the PWG was never an official or Republican flag. That it represents independence to some today is a product of the province's troubled post-Confederation history. As with many traditions and symbols that appear to be ancient, the PWG is not. Rather, it is a late 19th century product which took the place of an earlier tricolor flag that has been forgotten. The earlier red, white, green tricolor of the Native Society. Origin stories. Yeah, there's quite a muddled number of origin stories for this flag. But yeah, it is an actual fact that this is not, never has been, and does not represent Newfoundland in an official capacity. Though, for myself, I did take the geometric shapes of the Newfoundland flag, and if you look in the, if you look at my profile picture, my avatar, you will see that behind my ever so handsome face is a representation of the geometric pattern of the provincial Newfoundland flag, turned vertical for the memorial side of it, with the color scheme of green, white, and pink. As with many popular symbols of uncertain origin, the story of the PWG has a mythic quality. One tradition claims that Roman Catholic Bishop Michael Fleming created a pink, white, and green flag in the 1840s to make peace either between foreign and native-born Catholics or between Catholics and Protestants, depending on different versions of the story. At this point, I should point out Newfoundlanders do love to tell stories, and stories grow in the telling, and sometimes they're repeated incorrectly or embellished by the reteller. It happens. Let's see here. The colors are said to represent the green of Ireland, the pink of England's rose, and the white of the Scottish thistle. Excuse me. I didn't realize Scottish thistle was white. I was under the impression it was actually pink. That's not white. That's pink. So even the article here from Heritage Newfoundland and Labrador may be a bit wrong. I suspect if we were to take it as being representative of Ireland, England, and Scotland, the pink would be for Scotland, the white for England, and the green, of course, for Ireland, which is kind of ironic given that Ireland's official color is actually blue. In the early 20th century, the myth expanded to include the Newfoundland Native Society, a non-denominational organization founded in 1840. Well, we've talked about the Native Society. According to this version, despite clinging to their own flag for years, said to be a green fir tree on a pink background, a detail that did not come up at all in the Wikipedia article, the founders eventually accepted the popular Fleming-created flag. Of course, thus was born the claim that the PWG was the flag of the NNS, which has often been taken as fact, though it is wrong. As we've already discussed, the flag of the NNS was a red, white, and green tricolor. There is no evidence to support any of these stories. Extensive work on both Bishop Fleming and the NNS shows no indication of the existence of a pink, white, and green flag in the 1840s. Moreover, Fleming was viciously opposed to the Native Society, and it is highly unlikely it would have accepted anything designed by him. In addition, there is no evidence that the NNS used a fir tree flag. It may possibly have existed at some earlier unknown date and is claimed to be of New England origin. And this is, you look like a real wonderful person to be around there, Bishop Fleming. 1792 to 1850. No evidence supports the legend that this Catholic bishop created the flag, what the Native Society did use is clearly documented. Its official silk flag had a red background featuring an elaborate shield depicting aspects of Newfoundland life. There were clasped hands above the shield, and below it the motto, Union and Philanthropy. This red silk flag was simplified at some time before 1852 into a red, white, and green tricolor, these being the colors of the Society's accoutrement. These flags and colors were displayed at various natives, I don't know why they didn't pluralize that, natives events in the 1840s to 50s, and were adopted by branches of the Society outside St. John's. The Society itself lasted until an unknown date in the mid-1860s. Though I do believe they had a suggested confirmed date in the Wikipedia article. The issue of color must be addressed. It has been claimed on PWG fan websites that red and pink were synonymous in the 19th century. The Oxford English Dictionary, however, identifies them as separate colors, with pink differentiated as far back as 1669. In addition, newspapers of the time clearly distinguished between red and pink in their reports of public activities, including specific references to the native and other flags. Even the supposed pink flag with a fir tree is suspect, if it ever existed, since the New England original, which Newfoundlanders are said to have copied, had a red background. It was this tricolor, the native red, white, and green flag, which many people accepted as the first flag of Newfoundland. Representing the land and its people, it was often used at social and political events. For example, in 1852, pro-responsible government candidates in St. John's, led by the future Premier Philip Little, flew it at their rallies. It also was flown at the consecration of the Roman Catholic Cathedral in 1855, by anti-Confederates in the famous 1869 election as the flag of Newfoundland's freedom, and during the Daniel O'Connell Centenary celebration in 1875 alongside flags of other countries. As late as 1884, it was still being flown as the unofficial flag. The same tricolor was adopted by two other societies, the Newfoundland Fishermen's Society and the Total Abstinence and Benefit Society, both founded in 1858, which added their own slogans and badges. Since the PWG did not originate either with Fleming or the NNS, where did it come from? It has been forgotten that pink, white, and green are the colors of the Star of the Sea Association, a mutual benefit society founded in 1871 by the Catholic Church. Its flag consisted of a white star with a pink cross on a green background, and its officers wore sashes with the same colors. Given the Church's involvement, pink was probably selected as a liturgical color. The Native and SOS, Star of the Sea, flags, that's a funny O there, almost looks like an omega. Flags were sometimes flown together, for example, in a 1,500-strong Catholic procession in 1872. Although the formal banner remained in use, the Star of the Sea Association appears thereafter to have simplified its flag to a tricolor, as it is only after the creation of the SOS in 1871 that the PWG appears in the sources. The colors of the Star of the Sea are therefore the most likely origin of the PWG flag. Most likely. Checking for dropped frames. Not a single one. Because, of course, now that I'm recording it. Let's see here. The 1880s to 90s were, it seems, a transition period. The true native flag, red, white, and green, disappears from sources to be replaced by a new native flag of pink, white, and green. In part, this was due to the passage of time. The NNS itself was gone by the mid-1860s, so there was no one to officially carry the flag forward, though it remained in use for years afterwards. Meanwhile, the SOS had quickly become the largest society in St. John's, with membership peaking at 2,000. It held events which thousands attended and prominently displayed its colors. It was clerically supported, patronized by politicians, and became deeply ingrained in the social fabric of the city. And to a lesser extent, the rest of the province. But that's mostly because they, as I said, put off events that were broadcast in the media. Supported by the mass membership, the PWG was everywhere and ultimately supplanted the old native colors in the public mind. Reports of many public events featuring all denominations mentioned the PWG and described it as the flag of Newfoundland. For example, an 1892 event for Roman Catholic Bishop Michael Howley featured the PWG, which was explicitly described as the Newfoundland tricolor. In 1896, the fire department adopted the PWG as its new banner at a public ceremony. Decorations for Queen Victoria's 1897 Diamond Jubilee were described as being in the native colors of pink, white, and green. Anthem creations and nationalist symbolism. And you'll see here that there is an indication of the tricolor being used here. In 1902, the PWG was bolstered by the creation of two anthems. Sir Cavendish Boyle's Ode to Newfoundland was made the official anthem on the 20th of May, 1904. Its sheet music cover featured the PWG and is now a well-recognized historical image. Bishop Howley's The Flag of Newfoundland eulogized the banner as representing in its colors the island's English, Irish, and Scottish ancestors. He clearly intended to overcome any perception of the PWG as a Catholic flag by turning it into a symbol representing all Newfoundlanders, and he appears to have been successful. That's the main story that I'm aware of, was that it was created by a Roman Catholic cleric, in this case Bishop Howley. Sorry, my throat is starting to dry out again already. But that it was created by Bishop Howley and intended to symbolize the heritages of the now mixed Newfoundland population. Finally, as a nationalist symbol, the PWG was closely tied to Premier Robert Bond and his finance minister Edward Jackman, himself president of the SOS. This was further reinforced by Bond's 1904 success in resolving the French shore issue. There are many examples in the press of citizens connecting Bond, the PWG, and Newfoundland's future prosperity. We'll just open this image in a larger format, or at least in a different window so I can blow it up a bit. So we have a Royal Navy officer here, of course, with the beautiful banner of the mother countries. Dedicated to the people of Newfoundland, January 1902, words by Sir Cavendish Boyle, KCMG, Governor of Newfoundland, music by E.R. Krippner. And this, of course, is the Ode to Newfoundland cover sheet. Copyright published. Yeah. It's actually quite a nice image. Okay, there we go. Back to normal size, yes. Okay. Thus, by the turn of the 20th century, the PWG was... sheet music cover of the Ode to Newfoundland 1902. That's Cavendish Boyle's Ode to Newfoundland was made the official anthem. A couple of years later, sheet music features the PWG and is now a well-recognized historical image. Yeah. Thus, by the turn of the 20th century, the PWG was Newfoundland's national flag in all but name, while the old red, white, and green native flag was forgotten. Even the SOS itself confuses its flag origins, claiming in its centennial volume that they adopted the native colors, when in reality they probably created them. This is understandable, since over a century later, that is still what many believe. It is a testament to the fact that, while a lie has wings, the truth has endurance. The PWG's creation myth of Bishop Fleming reconciling rival factions in the 1840s still has currency among many Newfoundlanders today. That said, the flag does not have the support needed to displace the current provincial flag. A 2005 poll showed that only 25% of Newfoundlanders wanted to change to the PWG, those opposed citing the cost of the change and, ironically, that pink was not a suitable color for a flag. One of the reasons that I've heard for that, and I will come back here because I want to have a look at any other possible... We'll have a quick look at this. Maybe this will give us a bit more information here. I'm sorry, I've lost my train of thought, of course. Oops. So that was there. Let me just check the bottom of this. Maybe it'll trigger me. Yeah, the color pink being considered a girl's color, when in actual fact, for a very long time, it was considered a boy's color because it was bold. So we were looking at this one. Let's see what we have here. Companies, educational organizations, law enforcement agencies, museums, nonprofit organizations. We'll have a look at that. Political parties I've looked at before. Trade unions, transit agencies, universities, and colleges. Organizations based in Newfoundland: Eastern Edge Fishermen's Union, Harbor Hunt, HMCS Cabot, which I should open and thieve over to my other browser. Come here, you. There we go. I'll put that in my other browser because that will come in handy for the Cabot piece that I'm planning, hopefully for next week. So let's have a quick look at the nonprofit organizations. We have the Benevolent Irish Society, which I think still exists. The Grand Lodge, Heritage Foundation. Definitely going to have a look at some of these. Yep, the Benevolent Irish Society is a philanthropic organization founded on the 17th of February 1806, a month before the Feast of St. Patrick, in St. John's, Newfoundland. It is the oldest philanthropic organization in North America. Membership is open to adult residents of Newfoundland who are of Irish birth or ancestry, regardless of religious persuasion. The BIS is a charitable, fraternal, middle-class social organization founded on the principles of benevolence and philanthropy, and had as its original objective helping the growing numbers of poor in St. John's, and providing the necessary skills which would enable people to better themselves. So, in a sense, it was an apprenticeship guild combined with a charity. In the early years of the 19th century, St. John's had a large Irish population, with some members of affluence. 1820s. In 1996, the then, I'm not sure how to pronounce that, I'm going to guess head of Ireland, John Bruton, visited the BIS in St. Patrick's Hall on St. Patrick's Day. The headquarters, fronting Queen's Road, backing Military Road opposite the Basilica with its side on Garrison Hill, was converted into a condominium residence in the late 90s, early 2000s. Not long after I encountered the building for the first and probably only time. Shame. Okay, so we'll close that again. I want to have a look at the Grand Lodge here. The Grand Lodge of Newfoundland and Labrador of ancient, free, and accepted Masons is the regular Grand Lodge with authority of over Freemasons in the Canadian province of Newfoundland and Labrador. It was consecrated November 1st, 1997, with 32 lodges by the United Grand Lodge of England. Its current Grand Master is Most Worshipful Brother W. Donald Vokey. I had a W. Vokey as an English teacher when I was growing up. The Grand Lodge used to be headquartered in the historic Masonic Temple of St. John's, which it shared with the other regular body of craft masonry in Newfoundland and Labrador, the District Grand Lodge, Newfoundland and Labrador, the Grand Lodge of Scotland, in addition to several appendant bodies. Since 2009, the headquarters is now located in Freemasons Hall in Mount Pearl. Interesting. They have an official website. Oh no, the Freemasons are so secretive. Excuse me. Newfoundland and Labrador was the final Grand Lodge in North America. I guess now it... that's interesting. Had the protocols to carry out voting. 95 delegation went to England. November 1st, 1997, we became the last Grand Lodge to be consecrated in North America. Cool. Okay, so don't really have anywhere to go from here. Audi Vide Taci. That's a curious... Audi has to do with being bold. My personal motto is Calvis Audex Pulcher. Bald, bold, beautiful. But now I'm curious what... let me check that again. Audi Vide Tace. I'm going to assume it's Take. Corsican. What does it translate as from Corsican? Hear, see, be silent. Okay. Let's try that from Latin. Listen, look, be silent.
Audi vide tace.
Tace. Okay. Audi vide tace. Interesting. And, of course, the ever so secretive Freemason Society has a Facebook page. Yeah, I do get a kick out of, oh no, the Masons are so secretive. And you know, the conspiracy theories and blah, blah, and blah, blah, and blah, blah. Yeah, no. Okay, so, unfortunately, it's been a bit of a short one, but hopefully that was some interesting information for you folks. And since I didn't say anything particularly untoward or sideways, once I started the recording anyway, I will be posting the recording to my YouTube channel shortly. And other than that, you know, please do one of those internet-based supportive things. And hopefully I'll see you next week for more Terra Nova Tuesday. Other than that, I hope you're doing well. I hope you continue to do well. And as always, rise and rise again until lambs become lions. Bye-bye. Hello, party people. So, you've probably just finished watching one of my videos, and I appreciate your time. That said, if you're watching on YouTube, because they've changed the way they evaluate their views, I need to ask a favor. You need to commit some form of engagement in order for me to have it count as a view, because for some reason YouTube no longer thinks watching something counts as a view. They need some form of engagement to prove you actually watched it. So like, comment, follow, share, subscribe. Any of those things would be appreciated. Other than that, if you want to support me, and this would help me with endeavors across all the platforms I do my content creation on, you can look at Ko-Fi, which is right there in the ticker right at the moment, or you can go over to my Redbubble and pick up some merchandise there. The designs that have been flashing on screen for a while are examples of the designs that I have. You can pick these up on a variety of different products, and yeah, I'll probably end up leaving them up, though from time to time I will put up something that will be time limited. Some of the designs, the Walrus King especially, for example, I intend to leave up all the time because I just love that, and my Ardent Plays logo is for my other Rumble channel. Other than that, I hope you're doing well, I hope you continue to do well, and as always, rise and rise again until lambs become lions. Bye-bye.